Alright, I thought I'd make a video about when you buy a used car, some of the things to look for. Now, there's so much to discuss about the car, is that one of the things before you even look at a car is how many kilometres it's done, and you know, what the actual paintwork's like on the car too. So when you stand down the car and you look at it down an angle like this and you stand back, you about know if the car's any touch-ups. You can, here's the key. You about open the door, you about rub your hand in the door, you about listen for any overspray. And that's how you can tell if the paintwork's been stuffed around with. You can look for any evidence of overspray or anything on the car. But that's the first thing. And also, if you want to know if it's been resprayed or not, look for stone chips and stuff that they've painted over. So there's a stone chip there, but someone's resprayed. And also the sausage builder on the edges of the doors. That's how you know if the car's been resprayed. And there is evidence about the car, and I'll actually show you inside the hear that dryness? That's overspray. So what they did is they resprayed this guard, this door, and this door. So they've done the back door, driver's side door, front guard, did the bonnet, and on this side they done a repair here on this door. You can see I can see with my eye that this colour and this colour's a little bit different of it. It's the same deal though. Yeah, open it up, rub your hand in the door. The next important thing is I've got brand new tyres on this car, but is to look for the outside tyre wear and the inside tyre wear. Now, you got to look at the tyres on all four wheels. So you got the inside and the outside. If it's wearing on the outside or the inside, or all the tyres are wearing uneven, it could be a range of things. It could be the car's been in an accident, it's been repaired, and then the car's been, you know, put back on the road, and it's still got, like, you know, bent frame, bent chassis, or whatever else from the accident. Or it could be bad control arms in the car, but it could be still related to an accident if it's been rebuilt. It's a rebuilt wreck. So the next thing after you've done that, you want to check, after you've checked all the tyres, and make sure you look underneath the car, the undercarriage of it, and to make sure that it's all good. And then once you do that, you want to pop up the bonnet, and before we do anything else, we want to have a look under the bonnet. Alright, once you've got the bonnet up, you want to make sure you check your coolant, pull out your dipstick, make sure there's no residue. Also check what condition the oil's in too. So just pull it out and have a quick check, put it back in, and make sure you check under the oil cap that there's no milky signs, which is all clean, there's nothing in there, it's milky. That's how you know if you've got a blown head gasket, it'll be all milky under the cap itself. Make sure you put it back on properly. Okay, leave it off. And have a look at the overall condition. and also we'll start the car up and we'll listen to what the motor runs on. So do that. Alright, we've got the engine running, sounds nice and smooth, there's no issues. The choke's on at the moment, so it's idling a bit high. So, most of the time the car's already going to be warmed up before you actually go to doing it, to look at it. Go around to the exhaust, see if it's blowing any smoke or anything. And yeah, you have to actually take the car for a test drive. But what we want to do next is we want to check all the lights and stuff on it. So whatever you do, turn your headlights on, check your indicators front, mate. You have to do that manually. Go and look at them. Check all that, check your high and low, check your fan and your radio and stuff works, you know. And the next thing I suggest, after you've checked it all, is driving the car, like, you know, out in the road, and seeing what it changes like all through the gears. Make sure you listen when you're depressing the clutch. If it's a manual, listen for any throw out bearing noise or anything in it, which is not a big deal because it could be just dirty or it's been sitting. Make sure there's no engine lights on. That light there is just the door. The other one is for the seat. Test out the fan, and you've got to make sure that you get your car up to running temperature. So on this car at 6 bar, you want to make sure the car's warmed up properly to make sure it hasn't got a bad head gasket or anything like that. If it's milky underneath the cap, you want to leave the car alone. You end up spending a fortune trying to get the car fixed. So once you've done all that, this other light is just a handbrake. I can turn the car off now. We don't need the car going. And just put it back in the gear. The next thing I suggest after you've checked all them things out, what I've gone through, is, like, you know, have a look underneath the car, make sure it drives good, shifts good, everything's smooth, the motor doesn't rattle. And the next thing is get yourself, it costs $6 for a car history report. I've actually crossed it out because this was for a motorbike, and just to make sure that, like, you know, as you can see, this motorbike, what I was looking at, but we're going to use this a car, and the motorbike was a repairable write-off on here, but we're just going to make out this as a car and it was a repairable write-off. Whenever you see a car, it's a repairable write-off, that never buy one. So, you know, do your check. It costs $6 to do this check before you go and buy a vehicle. And that $6 can save you a lot of money, because if you buy a repairable write-off bit of shit that someone's repaired, you know, the resale value of the car is going to be very poor. Now, I changed the motor in this car. Like, if you go back and look at me videos, you'll see that I put a motor in this car, and, you know, I found out different things about this car. Like, you know, for one, the car was filthy inside, so I knew the car had been neglected. If you ever go and look at a car, a used car, and the car's filthy inside, run the other way as fast as you can. Because when they neglect it inside, they neglect changing the oil, they neglect everything. They just keep driving it until it runs into the ground. So, if you can, like, you know, you'll see a service sticker or something, what they've put on the windscreen. Like, I've put a service sticker on here at the moment, for 270,000. I mean, this car at last had it serviced, the motor, what I took out of it. The engine was 25,000 kilometres, or 20,000 kilometres overdue for a service. So they just drive it and they don't change oil or do nothing. And going back to that is that the tyres are all uneven and worn because the car had bad control arms. Now, if you buy a used car and you don't know much about it, you're going to get this car back, and I mean, if this motor's got a blown head gasket or something, you're going to get ripped off. There's nothing else to say about it. If you don't do your due diligence first to check out the car, make sure it's not a repairable write-off by getting your report, which only costs $6 to get a car history report, can save a lot of money. And also about paint work and that too. If they do the paint work on a car and it's not done properly, or they do a shit job of it, which this paintwork on this car, what they've done, actually touched it up, was a shit job. It's not the best. It's not up to my standards, that's for sure. Like, it's alright, but, it's that's about all I can say. It's alright. There's a lot of problems and a lot of faults with it. But, we're not going to worry about the paintwork on this car, but, so the number one rule is to make sure the car's been serviced and it's clean. Make sure the motor doesn't have any rattles or noise in it, and lift off the cap of the oil. Check the tyre wear. Make sure there's no milky sludge, white sludgy, like, it's hard to explain what a bad head gasket looks like. It's just real white sludgy shit under the cap. But don't worry about if it's got a tiny little bit under it, because it could be just from condensation from the car being sitting too. So don't go just racing off straight away thinking it's a bad head gasket, because some cars do have can get a bit of condensation under the cap of them. But yeah, be very careful of that though. A tiny little bit what you stick on your fingers, alright, getting out of it, but like, just a very small, dab. But I'm not talking about when the cap's filled up full of stuff. And also inspect the oil. And, check the car out underneath it and that too, because as I was saying, if you buy a second-hand car and you're buying a lemon, it's been a repairable, been a repairable write-off, it's, it can have a lot of problems. Like, they'll fix the car on it, like, they'll fix the body panels and that, but some of the damage will be still in the car, and if the front or the rear's tweaked in the car, you got tyres on there, it's going to wreck your tyres. It's going to, the doors won't line up. I'll show you that too, with the doors. It's very important to check the gaps of your doors. Go around there and check them. All the gaps on the doors. To make sure, see, this one is a little bit tight. This one in the top. And you can see something's touched up where they took the paint off it. On there. But yeah, and the bonnet too. Just so just fill down there. Check the gaps here on your bonnet. If the front's been hit or anything, the gaps on your bonnet here won't line up. So it's very important to check both sides. See, this gap here is a little bit wider here than what it is on the other side. You can adjust them a little bit, but that's check the gaps in here. The gap looks alright there. This gap here, it's a little bit wider at the top, and this gap here, it's not too bad. And then you've got your boot gap. On there. And your quarter panels. Very important to check all the gaps on a used car, because anything that's out of alignment, or anything that won't line up, or the gaps are real tight or really big, the whole car's tweaked, so it's been pushed over and the damage is still in the car. You know what I mean? It's a bit like this bumper bar on this car here, how it's hanging out a bit in the back. The bumper bar on the back one's probably been hit, and then they've repaired it. But yeah, just check your overall paintwork out on your car. I'll show you here. And hopefully you can see that where they've touched it up. They've made a good mess of this. And I'll show you the other side of it, where they sprayed, they taped up here. What they did is they used masking tape when they done this quarter. They come around here and they taped it up. They sprayed over the chips. They didn't take the rubber off or remove the window. And as you can see here, hopefully you can get a good view of that. That's actually clear coat that's peeled off. So they've probably had tape on here, and when they've sprayed it with the clear, they pulled the tape off it, pulled the clear off it, because they never took all this crap off to spray it all properly. So any paintwork that's got clear coat damage, where it's peeled or anything, is going to lift. You got your jack, make sure it's got the tools in it. And if it's got a tow hook that goes in the front, make sure it's got its tow hook. Make sure it's got a spare tyre as well, check that out, which is under here. That's where the spare tyre is. Make sure it's got its manual too, where it, if it's been serviced or anything. And if it's front wheel drive, make sure you check the CVs off. Put the car in a tight turn, left and right, like go around a roundabout, make sure you don't hear no click or anything. And yeah, just be very careful when you buy a used car. So anyway, my top 5 tips are, when you go to buy a used car, make sure you don't have bad tyre wear. Bad tyre wear in your car could be the cause of accident, damage, like repair or if a car's been smashed up and someone's brought it and fixed it up and then resold it. That's one thing you should always look at, bad tyre wear. The second thing on the car you should look at is the paintwork. Paintwork on the car is very expensive to get fixed, and you know, it can really depreciate your value of the car if your paintwork's crap, if they don't look after it. That's number 2. Number 3 is make sure you check your oil under your oil cap. Just make sure it hasn't got a blown head gasket. And make sure the engine's running smooth. You listen to it. Make sure the car changes all gears properly if it's automatic. Make sure it changes all gears. Make sure it's in, you put in reverse or, you know, drive. Make sure the gears shift, and also make sure all the door gaps that are even on the car, because any door gaps that aren't even, it's got hidden damage that you can't see that someone's just fixed. And get the car history report. And yeah, I hope all my tips have helped people out. I mean, once you buy that car and you drive off of it down the road, if they know it's a lemon piece of shit, you're going to be stuck with it forever. And you're going to cost yourself a lot of money, and it's going to be something you wish you never brought. So just be very careful and be very wary of people selling cars. If you're not 100% sure about if the car's any good, get someone to come and have a look at the car for you, you know. Get someone just to check it out. Like, they don't have to be a motor mechanic to look at the car, but, you know, just check, you know, very simple things by going over it. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and have a great day.